The US Treasury sanctioned Cambodian Senator Kok An and 28 linked entities over an alleged crypto fraud and money laundering network. The US Treasury sanctions angle matters because the enforcement focus is on the alleged system behind the scams, not just individual scammers. The tension is whether crypto fraud sanctions turns into a durable change or simply a sharp data point. That is why the first read should stay close to the confirmed numbers: 28 linked entities, asset freeze, and the immediate checkpoint around cross-border probe. For a regulatory story, the practical effect is timing and access. Who must comply, what gets restricted, and which rule or order changes behavior. The reason to keep watching is that the next checkpoint can change the meaning of the first move. The starting point is that the alleged operation used casinos, resorts, call centers, shell companies, and crypto wallets to target victims and move funds. The key baseline details are casino fronts and call centers, which give the story scale without requiring speculation. This scene grounds the viewer before the mechanism takes over. If the baseline changes, the rest of the story changes with it, because the consequence depends on whether those confirmed details keep holding. The most important baseline split is between what is already visible and what still needs confirmation from the next public signal. That scope keeps the segment focused on the mechanism that actually changes outcomes. Most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. Under the surface, sanctions freeze US-based assets and block US persons from doing business with the named people and entities. That is the working engine behind US Treasury sanctions, and it explains why the event cannot be read only as a surface move. In this case, the mechanism connects 28 linked entities with cross-border probe. When that connection weakens, the story becomes less about the initial number and more about whether the system, market, or policy process can absorb stress. That mechanism is the reason a viewer should watch process quality, not just the largest number in the story. The real-world consequence sits with the action targets the infrastructure behind pig butchering scams instead of only low-level operators. For viewers, the useful question is who actually has to react: users, traders, issuers, regulators, operators, or institutions. Here, Kok An sits at the center of that reaction, while US Treasury shapes the next practical step. The consequence is strongest where the event changes access, trust, liquidity, compliance planning, or the cost of making a decision. That makes the impact measurable through behavior, not through hype around the topic. The careful reading is sanctions can disrupt access to the financial system, but they do not prove the network cannot shift fronts or locations. That limit matters because the confirmed facts do not automatically prove the most aggressive interpretation. The safer split is to treat asset freeze as established context, while leaving the unresolved part open until a stronger signal appears. That keeps the story useful without turning a partial data point into a conclusion. The open point should remain separate from the confirmed facts until a filing, market move, patch, data release, or official action closes the gap. If later evidence changes the read, the story should adjust around that evidence. Most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. The deciding signal is the next signal is whether additional jurisdictions freeze assets, share intelligence, or name more entities. For US Treasury sanctions, that is the point where the story either gains confirmation or stays stuck as an unresolved market, policy, security, or adoption question. The practical readout is to follow cross-border probe alongside the supporting details, OFAC action, and 28 linked entities. If that next signal arrives, the story moves. If it does not, the only confirmed position is the one already visible in the evidence. The viewer should leave with one concrete checkpoint, not a prediction about where the market or policy process must go.